Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy here once again, Manny. Welcome back to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineups and advice for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And before I go any further with the video, like always guys, I would appreciate a like on the video. I really truly would appreciate it. And if it's your first time here, never seen any of my videos before, please make sure you subscribe down below and do not forget to turn on your notifications. This way you will not miss any of my uploads. With that being said, today is Wednesday, April the 25th, 2018, and we have ourselves a juicy 4-game playoff slate today on Fanduel for the NBA. I am looking forward to it. I mean, there's going to be 2 or 3 very competitive games here, and I think one game is going to be a complete blowout, but I'll touch up on that in a moment. I definitely wanted to share with you, last night I played a number of GPPs. As everybody knows who's been at least listening to my videos and is a subscriber, I'm big on GPPs. I like taking the risk. I play usually anywhere between $50 to $80 in GPPs, give or take every day or every other day, depending on the actual games. But this is the playoffs, so I'm actually playing pretty much in the playoffs. I'm basically playing literally every day with all the slates, but not during the season. And if the slate is not appealing enough to me, I don't see where I can build a nice solid lineup. Sometimes I just don't bother, but with GPPs I just do the cash. But I do play some cash games as well, and it's very important. I want everybody to know that you definitely should be doing some cash games as well. But GPPs is just more exciting for me. I like taking the risk. I like getting an opportunity to try to win the big bucks. And I mean, to me, it's like the lottery. If I'm going to spend $20 a week on lottery tickets, why not spend spend 40 or 50 a week just playing a couple of GPPs for $5 or $6 entries or $4 entries? Why not? So anyway, with that, so last night, great results. Didn't quite make it to the top, very close. I made one lineup which I actually put in all 3 of the major GPPs last night here on FanDuel: the 100K, the 25K for first, and the 10K for first. And the 100K, I finished in 198th place with the score of 290.9. I was under my 300, which I always shoot for, and I always said before in earlier videos, if you get 300 or better, you have a chance to win a GPP. And as you can see, I came close. I didn't quite get there, but 198th place out of 35,000 somewhat players, and of course a number of sharks with maybe 100 lineups or more. I'll take my 2 or 3 lineups that I put in here in each one of these events, and I'm happy with this. First place, the individual won it all for himself. 318.2 was the final count to win. I got 290.9. Like I said, I walked away with $30 in 198th place. Obviously would love to have had the thousands, but that's the name of the game. It happens, and I've been close there before, so I mean, hey, it is what it is. But I'm definitely happy with the turnout. The $25,000 event finished in 100th place, with the same team, of course, with the same score, 290.9. I walked away with $40, and first place individual won the whole thing for themselves. Sometimes there's always like a couple of ties, but not last night. Everybody won their respective tournaments. $25,000 for first. That was the $6.66 buy-in. They're also having it again today, guys, so consider that. If you can pop in there $6.66, why not give it a shot? I mean, you may just walk away with 25 grand. The other event was the 10K for $4.44 entry, and it's also available today. 309.7 was the final score for first place. That individual won the 10K, and I finished in 94th place. So I finished in 94th, 100, and 198 respectively in all 3. And this one I walked away with $50. So I mean, I got my money back, made a little bit of profit. I also cashed in the after hours. I won. I did 2 lineups there, both of them cashed. Not a whole lot, maybe about $38 altogether. And then I also cashed in the 100 player event. I came in second place, and I walked away with I think it was $20. I did that $2 one where it's like $50 for first, and the second place is 20, I believe. That's what I believe I got. But all that is up on my Instagram account. So I mean, I always take photo shots of those and post them up on Instagram at DFS Zone. You can always check it out there. So this way, you guys, won't think that I'm just BSing everybody about my scores. I don't have anything to BS about. If I win big, I put it up. If I win very minimal, I put it up. And if I crash and burn every single night, I'll let you know, hey, you know what? It was a horrible night for me. This is DFS. It's going to happen. You're not going to win all the time. So everybody remember that. Okay, with that being said, let's go into this 4-game slate today. We have Indiana and Cleveland. All right, nice matchup today. These games have been competitive. We have Cleveland implied total of 105.3. We have Indiana at 99.3. Indiana actually is 8th out of the 8 teams tonight. They have the lowest implied totals for tonight. Then we have Washington at Toronto. Toronto 111.5. Washington 104. And then we got Utah at OKC. OKC 105.3, Utah 101.8. It's going to be a close one. And then we have Minnesota at Houston. Houston 113.8 implied total, and Minnesota 101.8. Houston is 12 points favorite. So, and then looking at all these games here, guys. First things first, and I say it time and time again. I think I've said it a number of times throughout some videos. Look at the 4 games. You have 4-game slate today. First things first, everybody has to understand these are all playoff teams. Okay, nobody here is a garbage team. I mean, they made it to the playoffs. They were the top 8 in their conference for a reason. But when we get to certain stages in a playoff series, obviously you can tell whom is going to have the upper edge or not. And going into tonight's games, obviously the most competitive games tonight, and they have been fairly competitive throughout, is Cleveland, Indiana, Washington, and Toronto. And I would say the next close game tonight that will be good to target will be Utah at OKC. Not to say that you shouldn't target anybody in the Minnesota-Houston game. It's just that Minnesota and Houston, I think that game is done and over. I think Houston is going to finish this series tonight. And as much as, you know, it's a shame for Minnesota. Minnesota is a pretty good ball club. And I think they would have done better and been in a better situation to start off the playoffs if they would have been seeded a little bit better. They had a battle, you know, pretty much the last 6 games, probably the last 10 games of the season. They had to go out there literally almost every day and play a playoff game just to get in. And then they have to go in there and play the top seed Houston, who was just a monster beast team all year long offensively. And I just, you know, they are boss, so I just don't see them winning tonight under those circumstances, you know. So I'm not looking to target. I always look at the big picture. I'm looking at which games I should target first. Obviously, we have the odds, the Vegas odds to always, you know, take a look at. But it's obvious to me, looking at the screen, that Indiana, Cleveland, Washington, Toronto are probably the most competitive games going into tonight, most exciting games going on tonight. Utah is on the brink of taking OKC out. OKC, no doubt about it. Those 3, the big 3 there today, have to step up, and they have to step up big. And obviously, and to me, honestly, looking at the way OKC has been playing with that fast-paced game, they're not going to beat Utah. I just don't see it happening, especially now that they're down 3-1. I don't see them at all winning 3 games in a row against this Utah Jazz team. And I don't want to be biased and be favoring Utah because I like the team. But I love the way they play. They have a strong defensive half-court team, and they also a very good half-court offensive team. And OKC is more of a, you know, run and shoot, high pace, running, you know, getting on the fast breaks. They get a lot of their points on transition. And Utah has minimized that and has negated that in a way that it's been very, very difficult for OKC to actually really set themselves up offensively and be comfortable at what they do. So they have totally took the comfort zone out of OKC, and it's really has hurt also Russell Westbrook. So as much as I love Russell, last year I was praising Russell. I thought he was the most valuable player all year long for the way he played. This year he has 2 other guys on there to help him. And George has been fantastic all year. Definitely Carmelo has taken a little bit of a step back in his skills. But Carmelo's been consistent over these playoff games, and as well as George has performed well. The one who's been really struggling has been Russell. You know, so they need all 3 of those guys to have monster games today, and they need to get comfortable in the half court because Utah is going to definitely slow it down for them somehow. You know, and that's the only drawback. So anyway, so let's dive in and let's look at some of the players today. So we're looking at point guard. And you know what? I mean, you look here firsthand. Obviously, you got Wall here, 10,700. Russell, 10,006. Chris Paul, Obviously the top two dogs are Wall and Westbrook. Wall has been outplaying Westbrook at this stage as far as value is concerned. So I personally would give the upper hand to Wall going into tonight. He has been fabulous against Toronto, and not only that, Toronto has, looking here, I did some other research last night. Toronto has had, there's one out of the teams that are in the playoffs and playing tonight, Toronto has had the worst time, has given up the biggest games to point guards. Out of all the positions, point guard has been their biggest problem, and Wall has shown that here. And this is just in the playoffs right now. But during the season, Toronto had given up 9 big games to the point guard position. So it's an area that they are a little vulnerable to a very good, sound point guard, and that's where John Wall is at. And when John Wall has shown it, so we go here on Fantasy Cruncher, John Wall's right here, and look what Wall has put up. Look at all these greens here. Wall has been putting up 62 plus in 4 out of his last 5 games, and 3 of those 5 games are in the playoffs. So he has been, like, literally since he's got back from injury, has been totally just been dominant. Nobody's been able to stop this guy. And I favor him again as the top stud today in the point guard position under this slate. John Wall is the guy that everybody should be, focusing on. 43 minutes, 36, 31, 39 in the 4 games. Look at the usage rate. 32%, 35, pretty much 36, 38 pretty much here, 34 here. Look at the shots. 24, 23, 17, 20. He's taking the bulk of the shots, and not too bad of an average. His average is not too bad. 12 of 23, 10 of 24, 9 of 17. He did struggle here, 6 of 20. All right. And then, he's doing all the other things too. He's getting on the foul line. All right. He's getting some rebounds. Look at the assists. 14, 14, 9, and 15. Holy scamoles. This guy's he has been just dynamite. And he does it like kind of sneakily, you watch the game, and after a while you start realizing, oh smoke, you look at your fantasy points, you're like, man, Wall is putting up some crazy fantasy points pretty quickly, because he does all those little things, a little steal here, getting on the foul line, getting some free throws, hitting, shooting a 3 and hitting it, penetrating, driving, getting a bucket, and by the time you know it, the quarter's over and you got 15 fantasy points, 20 fantasy points from this guy. So John Wall has been literally on fire. He is definitely the best play of the day here today. Okay, Russell Westbrook, I believe Russell will bring it tonight. He has no choice. He has no choice. He's in a tough spot here, and he needs to step up. And he needs to step up real big tonight. Him and PG-13 are going to have to take over this game. We know Carmelo cannot take over a game like he used to. And especially when you got 2 guys that are much younger, a few years younger, you got to go with Paul George and Russell Westbrook. And if you want to pair these guys up, those are the 2 best guys to pair. Russell with George. 39 and 38 in his last 2 games, definitely way undervalued. He is definitely did not meet value in both of those games big. But his usage rate is still sky high. He's still getting sufficient shots. He needs to take more. Okay? And he needs, everything else is fine. I noticed that his assist total has been a little down. He normally averages pretty much close to a triple-double almost every single night. He hasn't quite done that here. So, kudos to Washington with the defense right now on Russell. But then again, is that Russell needs to get up and down the court, and that's important. He needs to get up and down the court, and it makes it difficult with Utah being a good half-court defense, and a defense that also moves, curls, doubles up. They rotate well. They're playing hard, man. I love the Jazz. They look very, very good. I really like that team. So interesting tonight. We'll see what happens, but definitely Russell Westbrook is in play. If you want to play him, he's $100 cheaper than Wall. Not much of a difference. If I was to make a choice, in my opinion, I say you definitely should consider John Wall as one of your point guards tonight on your lineup. Okay, Ricky Rubio, Utah is the next guy here on the list. Rubio, 3 out of the 4 games, fantastic. His last game definitely was not his best. He did still play 34 minutes. His usage rate was still pretty good at about 23%. He shot a little poor from the floor, 4 of 12 and 1 of 6 from 3. So that's a poor night for Ricky. So he definitely, if he lands a couple more buckets here, hits a couple more buckets there, and he can get that assist total over 10, and then get in there a little bit closer to the 7 to 8 rebounds a game, we have Ricky Rubio putting up your typical 50 plus tonight. I love Ricky Rubio, like I said before in the other videos. I mean, he's my guy. You know, he's been fantastic with this team. I know he's just loving being in Utah. Ricky Rubio is definitely an awesome play tonight against OKC, especially the OKC is not the greatest defending team against point. As you can see here, they're like in the middle of the league at 14th. Chris Paul, excellent play tonight for Chris Paul. I played him in a few lineups in the last game, and he came up big with 55 fantasy points. 34 minutes, he's going to need to be in that same range, but his shooting was fantastic, 9 of 17 and 3 of 5. Surprisingly, his assist totals were not as high as they know, but look at the steals. I mean, he was really picking the ball well against Minnesota the other day. So, I mean, you know, Chris Paul is in play. You got a lot of options here, guys. My advice is make a couple different lineups and definitely utilize some of these guys. It is very tough for me to come out here and be totally honest with you and tell you, hey, you should definitely choose this player, that player, this player. I'm not going to BS you like that. I'm not going to do a stud 5 here in the playoffs, because anything can happen in the playoffs. And, you know, and now that I'm getting to that topic, let me just get that out of the way. I'm going to tell you frankly, what is the right thing to do for you guys now at this time of year with playoffs, especially a slate like this. You got 4 games. Make multiple lineups. If you have 40, 50 bucks that you can put up on GPPs today, my recommendation, make 3 or 4 solid lineups with maybe 3 or 4 core players that you hands down you just love and you want them to be in your lineup, and then just revolve a number of other players around those and make 4 solid lineups or 3 solid lineups. Do not go ahead and make 1 solid lineup. During the course of the regular season, 1 solid lineup here with a couple of little squeezers will be good. But this is the playoffs. All these guys are going to play a lot of minutes. Okay? That's very important. The usage rate is going to be high on all the studs. Even if they're not shooting well, they're going to still be on the court, especially the teams that are on the brink of elimination. Okay? Like Minnesota and OKC. Russell Westbrook is not going to take a lot of breaks today. All right? Minnesota, Jimmy Butler is not going to rest a whole lot. Jeff Teague is not going to rest a whole lot. Mr. Towns, they're going to try to win the game and try to live another day. So, and then of course the other 2 games being ties, well, one of these teams want to get the upper hand, you know, because now it's a 3-game series between Washington, Toronto, and Indiana and Cleveland. So I just want you guys to see the big picture, understand where I'm coming from. I'm not going to BS you guys. I'm not going to say, hey, you know what, lock in John Wall, lock in Westbrook, lock in Harden. You know, you can lock in these guys. If you can fit them in your lineup, I'm going to tell you that you should definitely do that. I'm going to be on some lineup with John Wall. I may also make a lineup or 2 with Mr. Westbrook in there. I may have a lineup that if I can get the value, because there's enough games going on here tonight, that I can squeeze in Wall and Westbrook. Or maybe Wall and Paul. You understand? So, I mean, or Rubio with Westbrook, or Rubio with Wall. I do have my favorites. I like Wall tonight. I think Paul is a good play tonight, as well as Westbrook, because he's in dire, you know, straits here. And then you have Rubio. And then you have a guy like Collison. Cleveland is horrific against point guards. They've given up. Matter of fact, now that I'm saying Collison, Cleveland has given up. Let me see. Cleveland has 3 positions, guys. 3 positions where they struggle throughout the year, and point guard, small forward, and power forward have been their biggest weaknesses. And they've given up big games to small forwards 13, 14 times this year. Big games, massive games. We're talking about games where the opponent has the player opposing them put up 30 plus points. Okay, they also had struggles with power forward. 11 big games they've given up, and at point guard 12. So this is where Collison definitely steps in. And Collison, if we look over here real closely, we're going to get to him. He's all the way down here. As you can see, the only green here with the worst defense against point guards, 18th ranked Cleveland. He's projected to put up 27. He put up 33 in the last game, 10 and 33. So Collison is in play for me too. At 5,900, you only need about 29.30. He's able to get there. He's shown that he can get there. He did it twice in the last 3 games, and he's getting the minutes. He's getting 30 plus minutes over the span of 4 games. and he just needs to hit his shot more consistently. 5 of 14 is bad from the floor and 1 of 5, but if he could get a little bit better percentage here on his shots, he can nail down a few more extra, he'll be fine. So, you know, so there are some plays here. So, guys that I'm not on tonight for certain, Jeff Teague let me down the other day. I'm probably not on Jeff Teague tonight, and I'm probably not on Kyle Lowry. But I can tell you something. Ricky Rubio will be on some of my lineups. John Wall will be, okay. I like Collison as well in this spot. And if you want to go really cheap at point guard, you definitely should consider Dylan Wright and Derrick Rose. Rose has played better than Teague. I mean, Rose is showing glimpse of the old Rose, even though he's not as explosive as he used to be. But look at these numbers, 26 and 25 in the last 2 games. He's played 32 minutes in the last game. I mean, man, how long ago was it the last time Rose played 32 minutes? He played 32 minutes and 21. He put up 7 of 11, 8 of 16 in those 2 games respectively. Derrick Rose is balling right now. And he's showing people that, hey, you know what? If Minnesota is not going to give me any more chances after this season's over, I am available to go to someone else and try to do the same thing for you. So Derrick Rose is in play today, especially at 4,000. Come on. He right now looks like a bargain if he continues to play like that. But if Teague is playing well tonight, Rose will probably not get as much run. But I see where they'll use Teague because they had him on the floor several times with Rose, where they utilize both of these guys, because Andrew Wiggins has been really not that great in this series. So I think it's going to come down to Jeff Teague playing better for Minnesota. So, guys, that's at point guard. These are the guys that I'm looking at, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I already told you right now, I've narrowed this down to Russell, Wall, Paul, Teague, just barely. I'm not on Teague today. Let me take him out. Collison. I highlighted them here for you real quickly there. Those are the guys I think you should target. And then, of course, if you want low value, 4,000, you can't go wrong with Derrick Rose. If you want to stack up, let's say, at shooting guard or small forward with some studs, you can get in there Derrick Rose. And I think he would not be a bad play at all. And I believe I'll probably have a lineup. After I look at this really closely, I'll know for sure. But Derrick Rose would probably be in one of my lineups. Let's go over to shooting guard. At shooting guard, as you can see, you got Harden, Oladipo, Mitchell, DeRozan, Beal. I'm not on Wiggins. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not on Wiggins tonight. And if he happens to, as you can see, his price value has gone down. Yeah, I think it was 6,400 in the last game. Eric Gordon, sneaky play. Got to watch out for Eric Gordon, but I won't be on Eric Gordon because I have enough players here in this actual slate to be able to get, you know, some of my major players in play here. All right, Kyle Korver, definitely a low play, 4,300. Definitely someone you should consider. Jamal Crawford and J.R. Smith. I am not on Clarkson or Hood. I'd rather for Cleveland see Carver or Smith. All right, guys, Carver or Smith. And we'll go over here real quickly at the cruncher and take a look at those guys. As you can see, I only have about 8 or 9 here as well. And I'll be honest with you, Harden definitely in play. 50. He's projected to put up 50. Okay, he's facing 19th ranked Minnesota, defending against the shooting guard position. And Mr. Harden, even though he has seen these 2 reds here, he's had 2 dull games in between these 4, within those 4 games in this series. But he came through with 59 in the last game, and he did put up a massive 63 in the first game. And I don't see no difference today. Harden's going to go for the kill. He said it the other night when he finished the game. He says, we want to just go home and wrap this up. We don't want to come back to Minnesota. And I tell you something, Mr. Harden and Mr. Paul, they're going to talk about this all day long today, and they're going to go out there and ball tonight. I like, and I'm going to go over my stacks later, but I like Paul with Mr. Harden. I had them both the other night, and it came up big, and I think they'll come up big again tonight on a closeout game here against Minnesota. So definitely James Harden is in play, guys. I don't think that's a no-brainer. I don't think I have to even explain anything. I mean, we know he's one of the best players in the freaking league. You know, it's just a matter of, do you want to pay 11.8 for him? A much cheaper guy that is projected to be close to that 50 points is Mr. Oladipo. And Oladipo has had 3 games in a row he's been below value. And I tell you, this guy is on the brink of a breakout. You know, he didn't shoot that well. He didn't shoot well in his last 2 games. 5 of 20 and 5 of 15, 3 of 8 from the 3-point line, from the 3-point shot. And you know, we know that he's a lot better than this, and we know that he is the main guy in the Pacer team. We know that he is their MVP. He is their stud, and I believe he's going to show up tonight because he loves playing away from home. This is a kid that just plays. He plays hard. He plays hard no matter if he's at home or away, and that's what I like about Victor Oladipo. I see him tonight coming up with a big game. I love him. I think he's one of my favorite plays tonight, especially at that price. He's at $9,200, and then you look at Harden, who is about $2,600 more. Actually, yeah, $2,600 more. Come on now. I mean, and he's projected to put up 46. I think he can definitely get there. We know he has tremendous upside. He could put up 60, 70 easy, on a given night if everything's going well for him. So I see him coming out and charging away. I really like Victor Oladipo. I like Oladipo more than Harden simply because Harden is in a game where it's an elimination game. He may get up to 40, 45. Let's say they start blowing this team out by halftime. They're up by 20, 25. He's not going to get the same amount of minutes. So that's the only fear factor there is if this game becomes a blowout, Mr. Harden is not going to be on the court longer than you want him to. So we hope that Minnesota keeps him in there. That's the hope for those of you who want to play Harden. But I think I would rather get value somewhere else by not using Harden tonight and going with Oladipo. The other guy that I definitely want in my lineups, and he's my main man, is Donovan Mitchell. OKC is 24th overall, and OKC has had trouble with Donovan the entire series. 50, 42, 37, and 51 in this series. He's played 39, 35, 42, and 34 minutes. He's a young blood, so you can let this kid play as long as he don't get seriously hurt. Look at the shots, 28, 20, 25, and 22. Jeez. This kid is just taking over, and he's a rookie. Come on. He's a rookie, folks. Really? A rookie putting up these kind of numbers in a playoff game. No pressure whatsoever on Donovan Mitchell. This kid is loving it. He's loving the pressure. Loving it. 3 of 8 from 3, 4 of 7. He had a dud game here where he missed all 7 threes, 3 of 7 here. I mean, he's getting rebounds. He's passing the ball a little bit, All right, he's had a little bit of turnover problems in game 3 and 2. But he's getting steals. Sometimes he get a block or so. I mean, he does it all. The kid is very explosive. I don't see no difference here today. I really don't. They haven't had an answer for him, and they don't have an answer for him. Donovan Mitchell is going to ball, and if he plays well and Rubio plays well, Utah will win this game and win this series tonight. As long as those two guys, right now, I'm telling you, Donovan Mitchell and Ricky Rubio play ball and they don't turn over the ball, they're hitting their shots, Rubio's making his passes, these guys will be alright. They are going to win tonight. Okay, so just remember that. So Donovan Mitchell, definitely, guys. I'm going to have a little bit of Donovan Mitchell. If you're asking me, I like Donovan Mitchell and I like Oladipo the most out of any of these guys in the 2 position tonight. DeMar DeRozan, definitely in play against Washington. 50 spot, 35 and 47 in the 3 games prior. He had a dud in opening game of this series. His minutes are there. Like I said before, you're not going to go wrong with any one of these guys. It's about finding the right combination that may just happen to go off a little bit more so that you can pull out a GPP. You got 38 minutes, 35, 37, and 35. Look at the usage rate, almost 50% in the last game. This guy literally just took a lot of shots, and he tried to do everything. He had 18 free throws. Holy man, 18 free throws. He had 14 of 18. 10 of 29, 10 of 22, 14 of 23. He's hitting a couple of threes. He's doing a little bit of everything. As you can see, he rebounds. He passes the ball. He gets some steals. Once in a while, a block. He's not a foul. He's never in foul problems. This guy is just great. Pretty decent defender. DeMar DeRozan is definitely in play today at 80. What do we got here? 8,600. Yeah, same price as Donovan. I can see myself stacking DeRozan and Donovan Mitchell as my shooting guards. Or if you can squeeze in there Oladipo with Mitchell, you're good too. So those are the guys you should key on. Toronto next for Bradley Beal. Toronto is listed here as the #1 team against shooting guards. But Beal has had a pretty decent, his stats have been okay against these guys. He did have 2 poor games to start, but he did have a 46 on game 3 and a 36 fantasy points in game 4. His minutes were good in the last 2 games. He's gotten shots, 10 of 19, 10 of 19, okay, in the last 2 games. He's shooting some threes, 5 of 7 and 4 of 9. Those are very, very decent numbers. And he's getting to the foul line as well. You know, the only thing is he fouled out in last game, which was a bad foul, by the way. It was a bad call. And then you have 3 fouls in the previous game, but he's had 3 steals. I mean, you know, man, I tell you, like, this is what I'm telling you. This is so difficult. I am being frank with you. It's tough for me to be here and share with you guys what I think, because a lot of these guys are all good plays today. It's all a matter of whom you want to pair up with. Do you want to stack 2 players from the same team in this position? You know, in the point guard, shooting guard position, right? Or do you want to go with the 2 main studs per team? Or do you want to, you know, it's just finding the value and being able to put that $60K into good use with all these, you know, star players of the association. Bradley Beal is a good play today, even though he's playing against one of the better defending teams against shooting guards in the league, in the Toronto Raptors. I don't know if I'm going to have Beal tonight, but he is, you know, I wouldn't have any, you know, any complaints of anybody saying they'd rather go with Bradley Beal. I mean, his price is good, 7,800. You know, he's good for 40. He's good for 40 plus. I see him doing it. They have him here projected for 30 because of the Toronto defense. Me personally, I'd rather go with Wall if I'm going to choose with any one of these 2 major stars of the Wizards. I'd rather go with Wall. And in the shooting guard position, I already told you, I really, really love Oladipo tonight and Mitchell. But I also am a little biased to, you know, maybe a little DeRozan there as well. On the lower tier, I'm not on Gordon, even though he's on my list here. Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, definitely like one of those 2 guys. It's a cheap play. I prefer Smith simply because of this. Look at the minutes. And I've told you guys time and time again, if guys are getting minutes and they're getting a few shots, things can happen. Well, it's 35 minutes, 34 and 35 over the last 3 games for JR. I don't see no difference today. He just needs to bury a few more shots. And you know, JR is one of those streaky shooters. If he gets hot, yeah, they'll keep feeding him the ball, especially if he gets hot from the 3-point line. 4 of 12, 3 of 11, and 2 of 5 in the last 3 games, respectively. 4 of 10 from 3, 2 of 8 from 3 the previous game. If he can at least bury down a couple of threes and hit a couple of those low, mid-range shots, J.R. Smith will be fine. At 3,600, he is a steal if he can get you 16, 17 points. But he has that upside that he can put up 30 to 35. And that's what you want, especially in the GPPs. So definitely J.R. Smith will be a little bit, I'll have a little room there for some J.R. Smith on some of my lineups. I really like him there. And Kyle Korver will be definitely another person you should consider. 29, 20, and 10 over the 3 games. Obviously, JR is getting a little bit more minutes, but he's another one streaky. If he hits those threes like he did in the last game, 4 of 9, he did 4 of 9 from the floor and 4 of 9 from 3, and he got to the foul line as well. That helps because he's also a good free throw shooter. So, a little Kyle Korver would not hurt anybody at all. I would not have anything negative to say about that. I think that's a good move. I just prefer J.R. Smith over Carver if I'm going to go with a low value, and especially that J.R. Smith gets more minutes. He may get more opportunities, and he's actually about $600 or so, $700 cheaper, where I can use somewhere else. So, I mean, you know, so you wanted to go with a Harden, you'll throw in there Smith. Okay, there goes a little matchup right there. Or you can even go all the way down to Jamal Crawford, who's $4,000. It's $400 more expensive than J.R. Smith. Let's take a quick look at Crawford. 25 in the last game, 24 minutes. Yeah, I mean, usage rate was good because he took a lot of shots. He wasn't as effective. 4 of 10 from the floor. I mean, he was okay from 3, 1 of 2. You know, he's capable of hitting threes and get streaky there as well. But I still favor, you know, Smith here. If I'm going to go, I might as well go even cheaper, and Smith definitely plays more minutes. So that's an option. It's entirely up to you guys. Let's go over to small forward. Small forward, king of the crop here obviously is LeBron James. You got Jimmy Butler, who's a couple thousand cheaper. Look at this price for Paul George. I like George here better than I like Jimmy Butler tonight, just looking at these numbers. He's $300 cheaper, and let's go over to the cruncher to small forward. And they have Jimmy Butler here with a projecting 43 points. And you know what? I love Jimmy Butler. There's nothing wrong with Jimmy Butler. I will hope that he comes up with a 50-60 spot today and help Minnesota keep themselves alive here in this series against Houston. But I don't think it's not going to be enough. Jimmy Butler, he's capable of it. We know that tonight. I mean, we had Jimmy Butler, 36, 45, and 15 and 29. Man, I mean, those numbers don't look that great. He only had one game where he met value, and he just barely made value. And he was at value at 8,688 as far as his cost. Where the last two games, he's actually a few $100 cheaper, $400 cheaper than game 4 he is tonight. He's going to need to do everything possible tonight. So he is a good play in the sense that they have a sense of urgency. They're going to be eliminated if they don't win, and they need their star, Jimmy Butler, to be a star tonight. And if he's able to do that, there may be a chance that they may be coming back to Minnesota. But I highly don't think that's going to happen. I think Houston is going to wrap this up tonight. I think Harden and Paul are going to get busy, and they're going to finish this up tonight. So as much as Jimmy Butler could be a good play, simply when you're thinking of the factors that he is in a elimination game, I still believe that the Houston Rockets are going to get this done. But not to say not to say that anybody you shouldn't play Jimmy Butler. I think he's a decent play if you want to think of the whole idea of, hey, you know what, he's in an elimination game, he's going to have to step up, and he's the superstar of this team. Well, he's going to have to show that tonight. Him and Mr. Towns are going to have to go to town, today to be able to survive. Yeah, I would think he's a fair play. I'm just not on Jimmy Butler today. Paul George, I definitely love Paul George today. 42, 32, 37, and 43. He definitely shows some really good play in his last outing. 42 fantasy points. His price was only $79. He went up only $200. He's at 81 today. As you can see here, he is definitely cheaper than Butler. He's also in an elimination game. They don't want to go home. He played 40, 40, and 43 minutes his last 3 games. And look at the shots, 21, 16, 21. He has to bury a few more. If he can hit a little bit more consistent here, if he can get his 20 shots again today and hit 10 or more, and get 50% or more, and the same thing on the 3-point spot, he's going to put up 55, 60 today. He has the potential to do that. He has tremendous upside. Definitely a good GPP play, and I actually think he's a good cash play for tonight. Okay, guys? I think he's a very good cash play tonight because he's capable of putting up 35 to 40, and I think he'll get you 40 tonight. And there's a possibility that if he goes off, like I said, if he hits if he shoots at a higher percentage rate today, and he gets the same amount of shots that he's been getting over the course of the last 3 games, he will have 50 plus tonight. I like Paul George. He'll be in some of my lineups. Paul George is definitely in play. Joe Ingles, OKC 22nd, overall against small forwards. He has had 2 good quality games in a row, 32 and 34. He's starting to really get on his groove now. His minutes have not been, set back at all. 30, 32, 33, 31 over the 4 games. He got more shots. He's taken more shots over the last 2 games, and he's taking more threes. And he's hitting pretty much close to 50% or better on both from 3-point range and from the floor. So, yeah, I like Mr. Ingles. As you know, I'm a little biased to the Utah Jazz because I really love the team on how they play. So Joe Ingles is definitely at 6,600. His price is creeping up a little bit, but you know what? He's showing that he can get there. 34, 35. That's pretty much what his value is right now of his cost. So I think he can definitely do that, and I think we all know that he has that upside to be able to get up in the 40 plus range. And if Utah really wants to wrap this up tonight, Mr. Ingles is going to have to shoot the ball well too. It has to work. Rubio and Mitchell got to be good, but this guy's got to have to be at least respectable as well for Utah to really wrap this up today. All right, so I like Joe tonight as well. He's definitely in play. I'm not on Porter. Bogdanovich is a good possible play here, and the reason I say that is simply because I already said it before. Cleveland struggles against small forwards, power forwards, and point guards. As you can see, he did put up 32 in Game 3 and 31 in Game 1. He did struggle, put up some duds in Game 2 at Cleveland, and then at home in the last game, he put up only a 19 spot. But if you see here, didn't take a whole lot of shots in Game 2, and then last game, he shot poorly. 4 of 13 and 2 of 8. Now, when he shoots well, look what happens. 11 of 15, 7 of 9. Pretty much close to the same amount of shots here in the last game that he had here in Game 3. And in game 3, when it was all said and done, he put up 30 points, and he put up a 32 spot. And we know that he has the potential to put as much as 40. If we go down here, I'm sure we'll find that he's hit some 40s before. Okay, so I like Bogdanovic. Is definitely a nice play here at 5,300. You need about 22. You need about 27 from him. Yeah, man, he definitely can catch that 27. They have him here projected for 26.5, and I think he's going to get that. I like him here. I like him just simply because of the matchup, because Cleveland definitely has troubles with small forwards. So we need Bogdanovic to play well. With Indiana, everybody there has to play well. Everybody has to do their part. Bogdanovic at small forward has to be somewhere in the 15, 20 point range. You need quality play from Collison. You're going to need Oladipo to be the star, and then you need Young and Sabonis to do their rebounding and putbacks. Okay, and then you also need Mr. Turner to do his part as well. And that's the beauty about Indiana. They are kind of a quiet team, but they are, their defense and the way they play as a team is similar to Utah. Pretty decent half-court team defensively as well as offensively. Not as quite as good as Utah, but Cleveland has tough matchups with this team. This is definitely a matchup for Indiana to take advantage of. They are tied 2-2. They could very easily be up 3-1. I really think that they have a good chance of upsetting Cleveland at home tonight, and I do believe they have a good chance to even knock off Cleveland here in the first round. Indiana has. So definitely a game to watch. I think it's going to be a very intriguing game, so definitely take a look at that one. But yeah, Bogdanovic is definitely in play. Lance Stevenson, obviously he's there to rough up James and everybody else. I'm from New York. He's a New York guy. He's a rough guy, and this guy, I mean, man, he is so rough. It's unbelievable, man, how rough he plays. But he plays hard, and he loves to play. He just kids around and goofs around quite a bit, but nonetheless, he gets his job done. He does a little bit of the dirty work. Last game, 27 respectable fantasy points. That's fantastic. 23 minutes. Had a good usage rate, almost 24%. 5 of 11 from the floor, 1 of 4 from the arc. I mean, he's this is Mr. Stevenson, and he is a good GPP play because he has upside. He is capable of putting up, as you can see, as high as 38. He can put up 40 plus, some given games. And at that price, 3,800. I mean, if you need to go with a low cost player at small forward, he's the guy to do it, and this is the team to do it against, because Cleveland struggles with these big guys at small forward and power forward. All right, so Lance Stevenson in play. Ariza, not so much on Ariza today in this closeout game. I'd rather go with Harden or Paul, if anybody, on Houston. Corey Brewer, not interested in Corey Brewer. Oubre is an interesting guy. I kind of like him more than I like Porter. 24, 24, and 26 in the last 3 games for his price. That's fantastic. That's about value every one of those games. 24, 25, and 30 minutes. He's getting minutes, and he's getting some shots. I like Kelly Oubre. I really do. I think he's a great low value play here today. They have him only producing projecting him with 18.5 points today, fantasy points. So I mean, but he is capable of putting 30, even 35. I've seen it happen. OG Anunoby, I think he's a little bummed out. He has that little turned ankle. We'll see how it goes there. He may be a little surprised. He's fit 3,500. He's right, at budget, at the bottom of the barrel here. So 22, 26. I like that. In the last 2 games, he's had some minutes on the floor. Not taking a whole lot of shots, but for tonight, I'm not on him. I would rather pay for Oubre, who is $800 more. Or even Brewer, but definitely in Brewer, Oubre, you give me a choice there, or even Ariza, I'm going to go with Oubre. And then over here, Lance Stevenson with Bogdanovic is not a bad pairing at small forward, especially against Cleveland. I'm not on Porter today. Definitely like Ingles, definitely like George. He's my favorite play here. And definitely LeBron James is, it's a no-brainer, just like Harden. I mean, you can't go wrong with LeBron. They're projecting him to have 49, but LeBron has been 63 and 70 in 2 out of the last 3. His only dud game was a 54. I mean, who's not going to take that? I'll be willing to take a risk with LeBron. He's a good GPP play, and he's a solid cash play. I mean, he's going to get you 50 plus. So, I mean, if you want a cash play, I definitely think LeBron is it. And he's going to try to do that tonight because a 2-2 game is a best of 3 now. He's going to go out and ball and try to take over the game. So You know he's going to get his shots and he's going to get his floor time, so why not? So again, like I said before, I can't tell you, hey, you know, who not to choose. I'm just letting you know what I think, what is my opinion on it. We go to power forward. I know the video is getting kind of long, guys, but you know what? I like to try to give you as much info as possible. Kevin Love, Thaddeus Young, Ibaka, Favors, Anthony, Markieff Morris. I mean, there's a lot of guys here, and there's even some lower tier guys here that are really good plays, like Joe Crowder, Sabonis, and even Grant. I'm not on Scott. I had him in the last game. He didn't. I mean, he didn't get any shots off. I don't know what that was about after he put up some good play previous to that. Jeff Green, and you know, just on a game like today with an 8-game slate, you got value. You got enough guys here to choose from to be able to put a nice lineup together. I don't think nobody needs to go here at power forward and go all the way down to a Jeff Green or a Mike Scott. But hey, you know what? If that's what you prefer and you want to pay somewhere else, you can. I think this is an area where you got decent value here in the mid-tier price, like Kevin Love and Young and Ibaka and Favors and Anthony. I think Anthony's going to have the ball 5,600. He's been like straight 56, 53, 55, pretty much at that range for a while now. Well, let's go over here to the Cruncher, and as you can see, this list is very small for me. The only one that I like here in the bottom tier is obviously Joe Crowder, again for that Utah team, playing against the 22nd ranked defense against the power forward position in OKC. Sabonis played really well the last few games, but let's go straight to the top. Kevin Love, they're projecting him to put about 34.5 points. He has been really not playing well in the last 3 games, actually in all 4 games. I don't know what it is. He hasn't shot well. He hasn't gotten in rhythm. But you know, when Kevin Love gets his rhythm, at some point or another, he's going to have to get hot. And if there's going to be any day that Kevin Love is going to have to shoot the ball well, and it's going to happen, it's going to be today, knowing that Cleveland is at home and they're in a series where it's now only a best of 3. So they don't want to go down 3-2 and go back to Indiana, because then it becomes an elimination game. So all those things are going through all these guys' heads today, you know, with a 2-2 series. And pretty much you can just say it says 2-2, but really it comes down to is who wins 2 out of the last 3 games. So it's a best of 3 now, and they want to get the upper hand. Whoever wins tonight is going to have the upper hand. So you know Kevin Love is going to want to shoot the ball well. He's getting sufficient shots, 16 and 13. Last game didn't get as many shots, 10, and he didn't hit even 1 3. Now when he hits a 3, things, you know, they start feeding him the ball a little bit. So he's got to get in rhythm. If he gets in rhythm, he gets a couple of 3s off and he hits them cleanly, Kevin Love could be right back in it. So at 7,700, he is considered fairly cheap. With the upside that he has, that he could put up 50 on you on any given night. He's definitely a GPP play, my kind of play. I don't know if I'm quite on Kevin Love tonight, even though I'm a GPP, you know, kind of player. I kind of like some of these mid-tier guys a little bit better, like Ibaka, Favors, and Young. I kind of favor those guys a little bit more, and we're going to go right there tonight. But Kevin Love is definitely an excellent play for tonight. And if I look now below, Thaddeus Young going up against Cleveland, as we know, and I pointed out before, Cleveland struggles with big men, and they have had their troubles with Thaddeus Young as well as Sabonis. Look at that, 44 and 35, 39 and 33 minutes. He's going to need to play that amount of minutes, and he's going to have to be a little bit better. His rebounding was fantastic. He had a total of 16 in the last game, 12 of them defensively. Shot 5 of 12 from the floor, so it was about 40, you know, 38, 40%. Definitely he's got to shoot better. But, you know, he's in a good position here. I mean, he steals the ball. Look at this. 2 steals, 3 steals, 3 steals, blocks. He does all the little things. And he does it very quietly. You don't even notice it sometimes, you know, until you look at the box score. So Thaddeus Young is definitely one of my favorites today. I like him a lot better than Love and Favors, but I do like Favors as well, which we're going to talk about right now. Derek Favors, 26 and 25. He did have that big 45 spot, okay, in Game 2. He has been playing sufficient minutes, 33, 34, and 37. Usage rate is not that high. Okay, because he does all the little dirty things. He gets the rebounds, he gets the putbacks, you know. So this is what he does best. 8 of 14, 4 of 5, and 6 of 9. 2 blocks, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 steal, 1 steal. I mean, he's doing all. He doesn't get really in foul trouble. The guy is really, really good. I mean, this defense, this team doesn't foul a whole lot. You know, if anybody fouls the most on this team, it is Mr. Gorbert. But everybody else is fairly good, man. I mean, and this is what makes this team so good. Derek Favors is definitely in play tonight. And then just look at the projections here: 31, 33, and 34. Now, Kevin Love is 7,700. Would you rather pay for Thaddeus Young, who's been dominating Cleveland with 6,600, as opposed to paying for Love 7,700? That's $1,100 more. And he's projected to be only 1 point less, or 2 points less, fantasy points less than Kevin Love. I would definitely go with Young. Why not? Save the 1,100 and put it somewhere else. Derek Favors, 31 projected fantasy points. He's only 3 away from Kevin Love, and look at his price, $6,000. So he's actually $1,700 less. Then we have here Mr. Serge Ibaka. Ibaka against Washington. Washington is considered second overall against power forwards. They are pretty decent. Ibaka's had his problems there. I am not in favor of Ibaka tonight, but this may be a night where he will put up 32 to 43 like he did in game 1 and 2. He is capable of it, especially if he gets some shots. And as you can see, when he got shots and he got minutes, he was able to get enough fantasy points. And then, he rebounds, he does all the dirty work, as usual, for a rebounder. I consider them the dirty guys. They have to do all that dirty work, bang away, battle, grind it out, and get those rebounds. And 4 of 11, 8 of 11, but look at the last 2 previous games. Only played 28 minutes, so the minutes were down. Shot 104 from the floor, 0, didn't hit 1 3, just didn't do much of anything. He had 6 rebounds, 3 turnovers, probably the reason why he was down, he wasn't on the floor as much. Then in the last game, he did pretty much the same thing. He got more minutes, didn't take as many shots, did get rebounds, but he turned over the ball. And he did all the other things. He also got a little bit of foul trouble, so obviously that put him off the court for a little while. But overall, he still played 34 minutes. So it was just not one of those nights where he was in the flow of the offense. They already were losing. And, he found himself not to be in the offensive plans as far as scoring. But when he is in the offensive plans and he does score, they'll feed him the ball a little bit more. So Ibaka is in play for his price, but I definitely like Favors and Young the best here. Another guy that's a good play here today is Carmelo Anthony. Anthony, 26, 27, 29, and 38 in the 4 games against Utah. 36 minutes in the last game. Those are big minutes for Carmelo. 31, 37, and 37. He's been getting plenty of shots. 13, 18, 10, and 18. But his percentage rate on the last game was not that good. 5 of 18, and he missed all 6 of his shots from 3. So that didn't help. He finished with 11 total points. Has 6 rebounds. Carmelo's not a big rebounder. But tonight, elimination game, 5,600. I like him stacking him up with Russell and with PG-13. Put the big 3 together in one of your lineups. Why not? Even though Utah's a good defensive team and they're a good half-court defensive team, it makes it very tough for these guys. But somebody's going to have to step up, and all 3 of them need to step up, especially Russell Westbrook. I think the only one out of the 3 that's performed well the most has been George, and then Carmelo has been the second. That's what I believe. That's the way I've seen it thus far. So, guys, Anthony is in play tonight simply because big 3 need to step up. They're at home, and they're in an elimination game. If they do not win, they all go home. So, Melo's going to try to hit those 3s. Russell is going to try to get up his 50 or so. He's going to try to get his triple-double. And, PG-13 is going to do his part as well. Play awesome defense. Try to get some steals. And try to hit some big shots. As you know, PG-13 can hit the mid-range, can penetrate, and can hit the 3. So they're going to need the big 3 tonight. All right. Sabonis. Sabonis is a good play in Crowder for low cost. Sabonis played quite a bit of minutes in the last game, 25 minutes and 24. He put up a 24 spot in the last game. A lot of them close range shots, which he's very good at. 9 of 12 from the floor. That's pretty much like 80%, 85% shooting. That's awesome. 19 points total. Surprisingly, he didn't get any steals and blocks. He usually gets a block. But he has 6 total rebounds. He just had a really good overall game for $4,000, and he's still the same price today. He is definitely a good value play, guys, especially against Cleveland, who struggle with power forwards and small forwards. They struggle with the big men. So you got to take advantage. That's one area Indiana needs to grind and pound on. is keep feeding it to these guys, to Thaddeus, to Sabonis when they're on the floor, when they both on the floor. Feed off each other. Get Turner involved, you know, and you'll see that they will have more of an easier time against Cleveland. And Cleveland is not going to be easy simply because LeBron is not going to make it easy. Let's put it that way. LeBron is a very, very good ball player, you know. Joe Crowder, 22nd ranked OKC. Crowder is definitely in play. 24 points in his last game against OKC. 28 minutes. Usage rate was perfect, 21%, but he shot poorly. 2 of 10 and 1 of 4 from the floor. If he definitely shoots the ball better, he'll be a good play. I am not going to be poly on Joe Crowder today because I see that I really like Love, Young, and Favors. The top 3 here are probably the top 3 plays, guys. They're probably the top 3 plays. Alright, so that's pretty much where I'm at there. At center, you got Towns, Capella, Gobert, Adams, Turner, Valanciunas, and Gortat. Obviously, from here down, I'm not interested in anybody. And I go over to the cruncher. I'm going to show you the ones that I'm really concentrating on. And that's these 6 guys right here, which is Towns, Capella, Gobert, Valanciunas, Adams, and Gortat. And obviously, right off the top, you look at Green. Those are the 2 weakest defenses. 28th ranked Minnesota against Clint Capella of the Houston Rockets. Best play for the night is right here with Capella. He is the only one other than myself liking Harden or Paul. Now, if I pair these guys up, this is a great triple play. I said this, I think, 2 nights ago. Good triple play stack with Houston is having Capella with Harden and Paul. And when they're not on the court altogether, Capella with Harden work perfect. These guys, Harden makes Capella look really like a superstar underneath the boards with all those great passes. So if Clint Capella can have that kind of his way again, which we know Karl Anthony Towns is an awesome talent, but he is definitely his weakest part of his game is his defense. And Minnesota, you know, their weakest defense, looking here, I wrote this down here so I can even tell you guys, they have given up 8-9, pretty much 9 big games against centers this year, and they were obviously ranked in the bottom half pretty much most of the last 2 months of the season at defense. So Karl Anthony Towns has had his trouble, especially with good centers, you know, with the big guys, with the Cousins, with the Anthony Davises, with the Capellas, you know. Those guys all had, with the Jokic's, you know, those guys, and the Nurkic, all those guys have had big games against Towns. And those are the guys that are this 8 or 9 that had the big games against Minnesota. They gave up, they were the 3rd worst defense in giving up big games against centers. So something to consider there. So Clint Capella is my favorite play here tonight. And he's my favorite play out of all the Houston Rockets. And if I pair up any of the Rockets, I'll probably try to do a triple stack with Capella, Harden, and Paul, or not just do Capella on his own. And then if I decide to do a double stack, you know, pair up 2 teammates, I would definitely pair Harden with Capella because it just works so well together. All right, so Clint Capella. Let's start here at the top. At the top, obviously Towns has had his issues with Houston. 38, 47, 23, and 26. I am not on Karl Anthony Towns simply because of how poor he has performed here. But we all know that Karl Anthony Towns is a talented basketball player, and he has tremendous upside. He is a great GPP play tonight at 9,500. His price range has come down considerably. He is definitely worth a gamble. I just don't see him as one of my guys today. But today, if there's going to be any day that you want Mr. Towns, today will probably be the day, considering, again, they're in an elimination game. So take that into consideration when you think about Karl Anthony Towns. But he's definitely has struggled, and they still have him here projected to put up 41 points today, even as poorly as he's played. I don't know. I'm just not willing to pay 9,500, even though his price is great. I'm not willing to pay 9,500 when I can get Clint Capella at 8,200, or even Gobert at 8,000 that has the same upside and more than likely will have a better game, considering the matchups. Rudy Gobert is my second favorite play other than Capella. They're the only 2 I'm considering. 33, 40, and 47. 34, 41, and 33 minutes. Usage rate is okay, not big, but we don't expect him. He is not the main focal point of the Jazz this year. This year is Rubio and Mr. Mitchell. So Mitchell has shown that he is now the man there, other than Rubio. Gobert is just, the third string here. 7 of 11, 6 of 8, and 3 of 5. He does all the dirty stuff like usual. Look at the boards: 10, 12, 15. He does pass the ball a little bit. He does get blocks and all that. He does get a little bit of foul trouble if he's staying. Like I said before, the team as a whole don't foul a whole lot. Gobert is probably the one guy out of the starting 5 that fouls the most. And that's understandable. He's a big man, and he's going to have to battle tonight against Steven Adams, who is just another big brute guy that loves that physical play. So it's going to be a challenge for him, but I think Rudy Gobert will be fine, and I think he is more than capable of definitely hitting value. You only need to get 40 here, very much attainable. 40 here and 47 in 2 out of the 3 games of his last 3 games against them. So I think he's definitely able to get to 40. I will be willing to pay the $8,000 for him to get hopefully 40 plus. He'll be able to do it. He has a good ceiling as well, as you can see here, 57. So he's capable of putting up a 50 spot. Valanciunas, I always like Valanciunas. The only problem with Valanciunas is he doesn't play a whole lot. 15 minutes in the last game. He must have been shooting poorly. I don't know why he played only 15 minutes. His usage rate was high on the minutes that he played because he took shots, 4 of 6. But I just don't know. It's just not enough minutes for me. 23, 22. As you can see, he's capable of putting up 40 spots. Just for a playoff game and knowing that I got all these guys here, these 3 in front of him, no, I'm not interested in Valanciunas, nor Steven Adams or Gortat. They're here because I want you guys to understand that they are other plays. Steven Adams at 6,300 is not a bad play. He just hasn't been playing that well, and that's understandable because he's playing against a good defensive team, who's a good half-court defensive team. And that's the reason why Adams is struggling, guys. All right. 35, 26, 22, and 36 in the 4 games. He's getting sufficient minutes. He's getting some shots. It's just not enough, and it's not going to be enough against that defense with Derek Favors, with Gobert. These guys, they're defending. Anytime this guy has the ball, he's going to have to, ditch it off. The only time he's going to have is when he's up close and he's able to get his quick slam dunks and his quick layups. That's the only advantage Steven Adams has because he's not going to shoot, the mid-range jumper. All right, so Steven Adams, for me, not in play. For 6,300, I'd rather pay 8,000 for Gobert or pay 8,200 for Capella. Again, my favorite play here out of all these guys is Capella, and I would say Rudy Gobert is my second choice. But Towns is definitely in play, and I think those are the only 3. I would not advise anybody to take Valanciunas, but this is up to you, and I would not advise Adams or Gortat. Unless you're going to go with some serious studs, then you can go Gortat. I may even consider that because he's getting the decent amount of time on the floor, 28 and 26. So he's not a bad value play at 4,100. 22, he's about value the last few games, or just above value at 22 and 22. He's getting enough points. He's getting those quick little layups and passing, and he's shooting the ball 8 of 10, 6 of 8, still getting his rebounds. Yeah, you know what? Let me just reconsider that. Gortat is definitely a great play here if you want to pay down in price and not pay up at center. If you want to definitely save some value here, he's a good value play. I think he can definitely get that 20 plus for you guys at 4,100, and then you can just pay up for somewhere else. I'm going to look at this real closely. Like I said before, make those multiple lineups. All right, guys. All right, so that's pretty much it. We go back over here. Back to the main page. Yeah, so guys, this is pretty much where it stands. Now, let me just tell you a little bit of what I'm thinking as far as stacks, all right? When you're thinking the Indiana-Cleveland game and the Washington-Toronto game, I think those 2 games right there, guys, are games that you definitely should target for quality players for your lineups. Okay, these games are going to be the most competitive. These are the games that are going to be fairly close, hopefully throughout the whole 4 quarters. Hopefully we'll see a little overtime, make it even more interesting and more juicy as far as fantasy points are concerned. And then the other game will be Utah versus OKC. I think that game will be fairly close because they're in OKC, but I would not be surprised at all if Utah takes a little bit of a lead here and OKC just, falls flat on their face and just kind of give up. I can see it happening. They start getting a little bit looking at each other like, what's going on here? Next thing you know, they're just not playing hard enough anymore. I can see that happening here, but it should be a competitive game for most of the game. Minnesota, Houston, I just can't see Minnesota competing with Houston. I would say if you're thinking anybody here in in these games, I would think Houston, and I'm thinking Capella. Like I told you, he's my favorite play. And if I'm thinking anybody else in the Houston team, I will probably go with Paul and Harden. I'm not on Ariza. I'm not on Eric Gordon. I'm not on anybody else there. No Ryan Anderson, nothing like that. You got better value plays somewhere else. Minnesota, if you're thinking of anybody there, it should be Towns or Butler. I don't think anybody else. No Wiggins. I'm not on Teague today, or Crawford or anybody else there. Taj Gibson has been horrible in that series. He's not having a good. He's not having a good series at all against Houston, so I'm not on Gibson at all. All right, guys. But I would say definitely target Indiana, Cleveland. Best stacks are Indiana. You definitely want to think of something like Oladipo with Collison, or you can go Oladipo with Thaddeus Young. All right. I'm not too much on Miles Turner. I like Thaddeus Young and Oladipo and Collison the best. And if you want to do a triple play there, definitely should be Collison, Oladipo, and Young. As we know, those three areas are really, really tough areas for the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you're going Cleveland and you want to stack up some guys in Cleveland, definitely will be just LeBron James. I do not like any of their guards. I'm not, the only one that I would consider, and it's because it's a value play, would be J.R. Smith. And I'm not big on any other other than James. The only one I like there is Kevin Love. And basically just JR. But I don't think you want to do a stack with those guys. I think if you want to pay up for James, you should definitely just pay up for James. But LeBron is going to definitely try to take over this game himself at some point or another, which he's done already, but I think even more so knowing that he has a chance to take a 3-2 series lead. So definitely something to consider there. The Washington-Toronto game, there's no doubt. A couple key guys you can definitely stack up with these teams. This is a good game to stack in general, like getting 2 or 3 guys from Washington and 2 or 3 guys from Toronto is very much a possibility for me. You got Washington, you could go with Wall and Beal, or you could go with Wall with Oubre. Okay, I like Oubre over there. With Toronto, we definitely are considering Lowry. Let's just put all the guys here. So I would consider here like Wall with Beal, or Wall. I'm just not too fond of Otto Porter the way he's been playing. But Porter could be a sneaky play today. 5,700. He's fairly cheap. So you're someone to consider. I mean, it's going to be tough for me. I'm not BSing you guys. It's going to be tough for me to make some lineups tonight to try to win it, to just to take down this GPP. Or GPPs, because I will be in the $4 one, the $6 one, and the $9 one. Markieff Morris, maybe not a bad idea with Markieff Morris. I said Markieff or Marcus? Markieff Morris. He had 30 minutes, 24 points. I mean, man, he has upside. He can put up 40 for you. We all know that. And there's been times I've used him this year, and he's come through for me. I'm not too sure on Markieff Morris, but I'm trying to give you guys some stacks. Definitely here, if you're going to stack with Washington, you're definitely considering Beal with Wall. They're the top 2 studs there. They're the top 2 dogs. And when you're thinking Toronto, you definitely got to think of DeRozan and Lowry. If you're going to throw in a triple stack, I like DeRozan, Lowry with Ibaka. I'm not on Valanciunas today, even though Valanciunas with Lowry and DeRozan is a possibility, because Valanciunas is 5,800. But if he can get 25 minutes or 30, it will be awesome. But it's hard to predict what they're going to do with Valanciunas. And when he does play 23 to 25 minutes, he actually puts up some decent numbers. So I mean, it's something to consider. But if I'm going to go with somebody for a stack period, definitely will be DeRozan and Lowry. And if I was going to go triple stack, I would definitely throw in there Ibaka as opposed to Valanciunas. In the Utah game stack, definitely love Donovan Mitchell with Ricky Rubio. You know how I feel about that already. And I definitely, if you're going to do triple, it definitely should be with Gobert in there. So you got Gobert, Rubio, and Mitchell. You definitely need those 3 guys. You need the rebounding. Favors would be definitely a 4th option there. Because he's been playing pretty excellent basketball over this 4-game series thus far. And then if we're looking at OKC, you definitely got to go with the big 3. You got to go with Russell, George, and Anthony. I'm not on Steven Adams. I'm not on anybody else. I'm not on Corey Brewer. I'm not interested in those guys. And that's pretty much it, guys. That is pretty much it. And that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to get done with this video, and then I'm gonna start crunching my my head together here and start putting up some lineups together. But like I said too, I'm trying to be as honest with you guys. Again, I'm gonna say this to close this video. If you're gonna play GPPs tonight, my advice to you guys is to make 2 to 3, maybe even 4 lineups. You got a 4-game slate. You got enough players here to make a nice pool and put together 3 or 4 lineups that can possibly nail down this GPP for you. I know I'm going to definitely try to do that. You know, so that's my advice to you guys, is to definitely, if you're considering GPP, and then basically, like I told you some of the guys that are definitely good cash plays. You can't go wrong with the studs in a cash play, especially if they've been decent, been close to value as of late. I think they will be all good cash plays. But you know, it should be an interesting night. So we got 2 elimination games, 2 games, you know, best of 3s left. I look forward to it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you did, please, you know, give it a thumbs up. I know it's a little long. I like to discuss things. I like to give you as much possible information. Anything else you guys want to touch on, anybody wants to reach out to me and discuss anything regarding tonight's slates, I'll be more than happy to comment back as soon as I see the comment. And other than that, if you have not subscribed already, please do subscribe down below. This way we can you know, continue to build this community here with DFS Zone, and I'll be able to provide you with the best possible advice and information I can give you for the NBA. And of course, right after the NBA is over, I'll be doing full speed ahead to MLB, and then of course back in September we'll be back to the NFL, which is also great to do too. So I look forward to this journey. But again, comment down below anything you want to comment down below. You have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask, and I'll be more than happy to try to help you. And other than that, like the video, please do that. I appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe down below, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. And with that, everybody have a wonderful night. Good luck. Enjoy the games. God bless. Hopefully I make some money. Hopefully you guys make some money, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Peace.